out there, folks. Theresa J. Morris. My pen, let me tell you, the ACO is my major brand for the United States of America, working with Smithsonian Institute, including with ACE Folklife and the ACE Nonprofit Foundation. But we're archivists, historians, folklifers, and even ET contactees. And our company is ACO Theresa J. Morris Network. And this is my friend, Dr. Bruce Cornett, PhD. Since I was in Houston and El Paso, and I'm sure we crossed paths in 1995 with the ETs while I was working on a Galaxy Universal Shuttle extraterrestrial vehicle. But I'm just going to say it like it is, and I work one with here in Gulf Breeze too, and I'm surrounded by military.
Since you've jumped into the deep end of the pool right here with all of that.
I know. I was going to wait till the end, but I just went ahead and sucked it up. All right. Go ahead and drop your bomb here with mine.
All right. Since you were targeted in 1995, and in February of 1995, Don Ecker invited me to be part of the press interview group at Disney World on the Tomorrowland. Excuse me. And I was flown down to Disney World and participated in that. And met many of the people there that on that panel, that press panel, and Jesse Marcel Jr. was there, Bud Hopkins was there, all the big names at the time. It was quite amazing. But when I got back from that trip, on the 22nd of February, I was abducted, and it was quite an abduction. It was a major involvement, and even though they've only allowed me to recall certain aspects of it, I know what the basic purpose was for that abduction. I was being indoctrinated into an organization by the name of Caledonia, and it's an intergalactic federation group, and it's mostly matriarchal, interestingly enough. And my late wife Bonnie belongs to it, and so does my third wife Pat. She belongs to that organization as well. So
actually, the women like me, we're familiar with each other, but it's sort of like the women are in charge for this 5,000 years. So we pretty much know each other.
Right.
Here on Earth, this is called exposure to...
Right. Here on Earth, they let the men run the show, but out there in space, it's the women who run the show.
There you go. All right. I agree. All right. Well, I'm going to be the Supreme Allied Commander on this level of radio communication, but that's funny. But now we're going to put you into our group. I just need to know if you want to be in at what level, but we'll talk about that later. But you can go and join us, folks, if you'd like. Let me put this in again. It is AlliedCommandOrganization.com, and this is Dr. Bruce Cornett, PhD, who is one of our allies in the Gulf Breeze. We were indoctrinated in 1995 together here at Gulf Breeze and surrounding areas of the planet. It's Terra. We're called Terrans because we have a physical body, but we're introducing, and this is part of the Exposure to Disclosure program with Dr. Bruce Cornett, PhD, and I am Theresa J. Morris, and we have the ACO Club. So back to you, Dr. Bruce. And did you ever meet Dr. Bruce Maccabee, our national director for the United States?
Oh, we've taught at the same conferences. We're in frequent contact and communication. The History Channel did a special on the vortex picture that was projected over a farm field in Pine Bush. And they came out to the area and did interviews, etc., with me and others in that venue. And then we all met a couple months later in Stephenville, Texas, and Bruce Maccabee was there, and he and I were interviewed together for that show called UFO Vortexes, which aired on the 26th of March, what am I talking about? 2008 is when it aired on television. So it was about.
Now you've got all these dates in your server, right? All your data is in one server. Have you shared that with Dr. Bruce Maccabee as our national director for ACO and UFO, or does he understand how much data?
He's very familiar with my work. I don't know if he keeps up with all of it, and I haven't certainly kept up with all of his work. I have his at least one of his web pages linked to one of my the Serious Onion Works web page. So we definitely have crossed paths and been together at different conferences. I find that very interesting.
Were you how much were you involved with Bigelow? Because Bigelow was interested in me in 2008, but I had just decided finally to pay in my MUFON dues, Mutual UFO Network dues, which I'd never done or allowed to by the extraterrestrials I work with. But my husband went ahead and allowed me to go public in 2007, but we were working in Area 51, Las Vegas area, Janet Airlines, all that stuff, Bob Lazar stuff back in the day. And he and I were in the Bush-Reagan administration from 1980 to 1993. But we thought it was going to all over with when Bob Lazar was coming out for John Lear with MUFON. And it didn't happen. So, we keep thinking, we're finally going to do something, but it never gets organized. So my job, as far as I know, the commander, who is like commander-in-chief, is like on a craft that comes through this universe and through this particular galaxy, and told me to keep doing what I was doing here in Gulf Breeze. But I'm amazed because they put you and me together, and we've been working on the same program since 1995. So you and I, did you meet an extraterrestrial on the planet like I did with ESP, or no? Or they just took you?
Well, no, they did more than just take me. I mean, telepathically. I am linked by brain implants with them. They are not your typical ETs that people imagine, like the Greys or the Nordics or anything. They are very human. The ones I deal with are very human because they've all walked on Earth as humans, and they appear to me.
Me too. Me too. So, folks, this is disclosure, okay? Now, you're getting it from two people that are telling you this is our witness testimony, but it's got to be done somewhere, so why not on TJ Mars ET Radio? But our club is Allied Command Organization. We're bringing all of this data together, and Dr. Bruce Maccabee is our national director here in the United States of America for ACO and UFO Association Organization. And now, Dr. Bruce Cornett, I'm going to go back to you. I apologize for doing this, but the reason is I'm putting these little plugs in is people have not been organized on this planet, and it's up to you and I to do this. And we're going 92 to 95, but we've got to get our data, and we're hoping to provide it in one place in space, in cyberspace together, if that's going to be possible. But you and I will talk about that because we're both in the Advanced Communications.agency, folks. And it's brand new for what we're doing together. All right, Dr. Bruce, back to you. So let's go forward now from your 95 and the data where you are. And now what was 95 all about for getting people like you and me together? And I'm going to go on mute. So you tell me all about what you know.
One of the things that listeners need to understand is that I was brought into an ET organization called the Caradonians by Katra, who was the leader of the Caradonians. And she incarnated as Bonnie Harrington back in 1950. And I was set up to meet her, and I ended up marrying her in 1986. And I spent 7 years with Bonnie before she died, and then I witnessed her spirit, my mother and I, over her grave and being ascendant in a golden beam of light into a second sun in an overhead cloud. Further modification or analysis of that video shows a huge white dome-shaped mothership embedded in that cloud, and that was the first indication I had in 1991 that I had actually lived with an extraterrestrial in a human body, which was quite amazing. I wrote a online book called The Passion of Bonnie, which is a story about her, but it only gets into the spiritual aspect of it at the very end. Most of it is just her incredible life story of 40 years that she spent on Earth. And then in spirit, or as an ET, she kept on communicating with me after she died, and indoctrinated me into her organization, for which she heads, and which is part of the Intergalactic Federation of Planets, she tells me, and that she has been very instrumental in guiding human civilization on this earth for tens of thousands of years. So she is a very old spirit that has incarnated in different forms and different bodies over time. And that she has educated me ever since I was indoctrinated in February 1995. She has given me a tremendous amount of information that I am in the process of writing down, putting in a book form that will eventually be published. So that is the crux. That is the crux of my story, is that I have met a number of ETs in human bodies. The one thing that I was brought to was in 1994. I was invited to give a talk at the Ozark UFO conference in Arkansas, and I met Dr. Carla Turner, late Dr. Carla Turner, who wrote the book Masquerade of Angels, and she was at that conference with Ted Rice, and Ted Rice's story is what the Masquerade of Angels is all about. It's about how he, during the summer of 1962, was working at the Sun Valley ski resort in Idaho, and met these two women by the name of Maya and Lyra. And they would not tell him very much about themselves, other than that they lived in a mountain, and would not give him specifics until the very end of his period of work at that ski resort, in which they took him to their spaceship and flew him to their underground base in the Andes Mountains. And they showed them how they created hybrid humans, clones of humans, and how they could transfer their consciousness from one body to another, and in essence have eternal life. And they conducted a transformation or a transfer of his consciousness to one of the clones, and it really freaked him out. Then they, wiped his mind with hypnosis and brought him back to his home, and he had to undergo regressive hypnosis to be able to recover that information for Dr. Carla Turner's book, Masquerade of Angels. Well, in 1963, I was with my French class in France. We were coming back from the Mediterranean, from Cannes, and we stopped in Paris, and then we stopped in Amsterdam, and we had 3 days for sightseeing in Amsterdam before we would return home. And on that first morning, in the lobby of the hotel, I was with some of my colleagues there, or other members of the French class, trying to decide where we were going to go. And this young, pretty woman standing by the side made eye contact with me. She came over and said, "Hi, I'm Maya. What are you doing?" And I told her, and she said, "Well, I would I'd love to be your guide here and take you to all the tourist attractions." and I agreed. So for 3 days we would meet, and she would take me to the different sites. And on the third day, she